You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making us your first listen. I'm your host, Brian McKeon. Stacey will not be joining us today. She was on her way to the Yankee game. They had just postponed that Angel series to tomorrow, and who knows when they're going to play those games because the weather looks pretty terrible from here on out. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match of up to $100. Before we get started, all of you, please don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on whichever podcasting platform that you prefer. And subscribe to our channel on YouTube, like the video, and hit the bell so you're notified whenever our videos go live. On today's show, I'm going to go over in the next segment where the Yankees stand, where they are coming off the losing streak, and how it's awfully similar to what other teams are going through in the major leagues right about now. And I don't think you need to be too concerned with the losing streak. While we were super concerned in the losing streak, I don't think following it we need to be as concerned. But first, we'll go over what's going on tomorrow. So the Yankees game tonight against the Angels has been postponed to a traditional doubleheader at Yankee Stadium later on the next day. First game will be at 4:00. Second game will be sometime around 7. It's going to be a start right after the last one. Haven't seen those in a while. I feel like usually they go at the 1 and 7 o'clock starts of late, but it's going to be a single admission doubleheader, standard as usual, always what they normally, I guess, do. How you feel about doubleheaders, I don't know. I don't prefer it, to be honest with you, because it's a 3-game series, and I feel like majority of the time in Major League history, these things are split. Right? You always see doubleheaders that are split. You do have the advantage of the pitching matchup. And like we've said in the last couple of shows, in the last couple of weeks, this is the Yankees' opportunity to get fat, right? It's the month of August. Their schedule is super simple. They don't have a lot of difficult teams in front of them. And the Angels are one of those teams. They're one of those teams they should not struggle with. They should not have problems beating. And if you consider yourself one of the top teams in the American League, one of the top teams that should be competing for a pennant, then this is a team that you should make easy work of, especially in the middle of your longest homestand of the year. This Yankee team is way better. Their offense has been way better. Their pitching has been way better. The Angels are not good. And they're not terrible. They're not awful. They're not in the classes of Colorado. They're not in the classes of Chicago, who, by the way, lost again yesterday. So we're going to see if they can continue the streak, and they're inching closer and closer to the Phillies' all-time losing streak. But you're looking at all these games they have coming up in the month of August, and we went over on yesterday's schedule. The Yankees don't have a lot in their way. They don't have a lot of teams that should be challenging them. And I said this the last couple of episodes, and I'll repeat. To me, it would be an upset at this point if they don't win the American League East. And sportsbooks are telling you the exact same thing, because the line for most of them is minus 160 to win the American League East. And that's a huge line compared to where these two teams were all year, how they've been neck and neck all year, how the Orioles have really taken care of the Yankees in many opportunities they've had this year. It really hasn't been that much of a competition, if you will. And yet the Yankees are pretty heavy favorites to win the division based on their schedule in August. And the Orioles I believe we said yesterday, the Orioles were 19th in strength of schedule. The Yankees are the 3rd lowest. So you're getting teams like the White Sox, the Athletics, the Rockies. You're getting really bad teams coming in. And even the difficult teams that come in are St. Louis, who's middling around 500. This should be a point in your season where you can get fat, you can take advantage, and really set yourself up for September, because you got to remember, too, September comes around, you're going to have September call-ups that are going to become a thing. And guys like Jason Dominguez, who should be ready in a month's time to be able to come up with a September call-up. Guys like Oswaldo Peraza, who should be able to come up and make an impact with how well he's played in AAA. You're going to have reinforcements come up. Those guys are all eligible to play in the postseason for the Major League roster, and they're going to have a month to be able to play. And if you're able to lock things up by that point in time, the wins and losses, yes, you're going to still want to win games, and you're going to want to keep yourself on a positive trajectory. But you're not going to be as determined to need to necessarily win every single game and be in a huge heap of a race. And I think you could really have an opportunity here in the month of August to create some ground between you and Baltimore. And you're going to have to try and do that, because like Baltimore's going to win their games. They're going to win their 93 games, 94 games. Not that Baltimore's played poorly this year. They've been as good as the Yankees, but you see how it took the Yankees massive losing streak and really colossal, horrible play out of them for them to be able to fall to where they are right now, right? And fall into where they are right now is 20 some odd games over 500, is in a dead tie with Baltimore. Baltimore, who's played good all year and really hasn't had their swoon, but they've gotten to the same place in two different ways, right? Baltimore got here playing super well and playing super consistent, winning series. The Yankees got here by playing out of their minds in the first 2 months of the season and really struggling in the next 2 months. It got them both to the same place, but I don't think it makes either team better or worse when it comes to their shape going into the postseason. I don't. I think Baltimore is going to be a tough team to deal with. I think Cleveland could end up being a tough team to deal with. But when you look at the rest of the American League, what teams necessarily scare you? What teams do you look at that the Yankees could end up having to face in a first round, in a CS, that terrify you? Does Minnesota ever scare you? No. Does Cleveland necessarily scare you? Heck, 2 years ago when the Yankees had an awful team that was carried in by Judge in the record, did Cleveland scare you in that series? The Yankees handled them pretty well, and that team was going into the playoffs playing awful. What other team in the American League is scaring you? Is it whoever comes out of the West? Because Texas is 5 games under 500. Houston is sort of heated up, but they've been a 500 team all year. They can't really pitch. Seattle has great pitching, but they don't score. So you look around the entire American League, who's scaring you? Could Boston sneak in? I suppose. And they have trouble with Boston. But is Boston overall as a roster a team that scares you? Are they better than the Yankees? It's only Baltimore. And if you can beat them in the division, finish with the higher record, which Vegas expects you to, and all of Yankee fans should expect them to because of the strength of schedule, you get those critical games in the Bronx. And I think with a young, playoff inexperienced team like Baltimore, playing in the Bronx is going to be a tough thing for them. It's going to be tough for them to deal with. And you want to put them through that. You want to put them to the test. Now, Corbin Burns has pitched in really tough environments, so I'm not going to take that away from him. Has Gunnar Henderson played in tough environments? Has Jackson Holliday played in tough environments? And these are guys that have to pitch in the Bronx in a game 1, and a game 2, and a game 5, and a game 7. And you want those games to be in New York and not in Baltimore. Not that Yankee fans won't necessarily travel. Not giving Baltimore's home field necessarily any credit. But you want those games in your home venue. You do. So when you look across the landscape of the American League, why not the Yankees? And I'll go over in the next segment why there's other teams across all of Major League Baseball that have gone through losing streaks similar. Now, they weren't as elongated as the Yankees' losing streak, but they still struggled a lot, and they're still towards the top of their leagues. And you don't hear people freaking out as much as Yankee fans are freaking out. Rightfully so, but people aren't freaking out about those teams. We'll get into that on the other side. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button on all of our videos and hit the notifications so that you know when our videos go up. Also, you can reply to the pinned comment on our videos from Monday through Thursday if you want your questions answered on Fan Mail Friday. You can join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club also. The link is in the description. You'll get text from me, Stacy. You can text any of us questions, and there's a 14-day free trial. Coming up on the next segment, we're going to go over teams in the rest of the Major League Baseball that have struggled this year that aren't getting the notoriety the Yankees are. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on up to 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. And with the NBA season over, the hoops action doesn't stop on PrizePicks. Women's basketball is still heating up, with stars like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese looking to make names for themselves, alongside greats like Breanna Stewart and Aja Wilson. You can win up to 100 times your money watching that cash roll in. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks for a deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Welcome back to Locked On Yankees. Thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen today. And for your second listen, enjoy the Locked On MLB podcast. Host Paul Sullivan, aka Sully, is here daily to provide national expertise with his trademark humor to help you get ready for the MLB playoffs here in the dog days of summer. Prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully, who has it covered every single day on Locked On MLB, available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And don't forget that you can catch every pitch of the Yankees' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Yankees. So we look at the Yankees going forward this year, and we've talked about their easy schedule in the month of August, and we talked about how the American League doesn't seem like it really should scare you that much, right? There's not a lot of teams that are going to be in their way that are going to really be threatening them for a position where they can't beat them and they can't win a pennant and they can't. This is probably their most wide open window to win an American League pennant that we've seen them have in a decade, with how good Houston's been and how good their dominance has been. I want to bring up how, if everyone's looked around Major League Baseball of late, about a month or two ago, the Dodgers had like a 7-game losing streak and they were really reeling and they've still had injuries all year. Where is the news on how bad LA has played? And LA's been good. They've been solid since they've really recovered themselves. They've had Mookie Betts out for a while. They're not the same as they've been in years past. They're not as dominant, it seems like. I mean, Shohei Ohtani's having a great year. They're 20 games over 500. They're playing fine, but they went through a really, really, really bad middling path in the middle of the year where they really didn't play well at all. And then I go to another team in the National League, in the Philadelphia Phillies, who right now are going through it. They're now 66-47. Right around the same as the Dodgers, playing actually in LA in a series. Playing well, except for the fact that Bryce Harper hasn't hit since the Yankees series. Like at all. It's been terrible. Neither is Trey Turner. Both guys have been awful for them. And that's the heart of their lineup. That's the heart of their team. That's their bread and butter, and that's what they're built on. So when I look at the way those two guys have struggled, and I look at the way the Phillies pitching staff has pitched really well, and they're still struggling to win games. I look at the way the Dodgers struggled. I look at a team like the Mets and the way that their season started off so terribly, and they've somehow inched their way back into the NL wildcard picture. Now it's going to be tough for, I think, the Mets to find themselves back into the postseason just because of they're on an awful road trip right now, and there's a lot of teams that are in front of them in the National League that I don't know how they're going to be able to surpass, like the Atlantas and stuff. But regardless of that, there's a lot of teams that have went through significant losing stretches, played terrible baseball for a period of time, and things have evened out. You knew at the start of the year, the Yankees were not going to play for those first 2 months like they were all year. If they did, they would have won 135 games. And that wasn't going to happen. Any realistic fan knew that wasn't going to happen. You also knew they weren't as bad as they played in June and July. You had to have known that. Because then they would have been the White Sox, trying to win 40 games. They're somewhere in the middle. They're probably right about what they are. They're a 95-win team. They're a good baseball team. I think they have any chance going forward to win the American League pennant and to win a World Series as any other team in the American League. Is there a dominant team out there right now? There isn't a Houston of years past. And when you go to the National League, the Phillies are awesome. They're a really tough team. They're a team that I do not want to see in the postseason at all. But are they any better than the New York Yankees? Are they that much better than the Yankees? Yeah, I don't think I want to see the Dodgers either. Are the Dodgers that much better than the Yankees? Yeah, they've had reinforcements come in. It's been better of late. Are they that much scarier than any other team that you're going to face? There's no one out there this year that in traditional past years has continuously dominated the entire league. There's no one that's 30, 40 games over 500. That every day you know they're a shoo-in. We've had years past where it seems like every game, the Astros are minus 200 favorites in the sports books. The Dodgers. We're not seeing that this year. They have as good of a chance this year, and the window is as wide open as it's ever been for them to do it. There's a lot of pressure put in, not from the players necessarily. It's more, I think, from ownership and from general management. Heck, you put all your cards in the middle, all your chips in the middle of the table with Juan Soto. You have to go make it worth it. We could be going into November where the Yankees and the Mets for the first time ever are competing for the same player. for financial ramifications. And this is the first time ever that you're not confident the Yankees could outbid them. That should scare the living crap out of you if you're a Yankee fan. Should. But this is the time to do it. I know everyone wanted them to go all in at the last deadline. But like we've said, I don't think there was an all-in move. I don't think there was a player to go get. That player was Jack Flaherty for you. Okay. As everybody knows, I wasn't the guy that wanted to hold on to Spencer Jones. But was Spencer Jones necessarily worth trading for 2 months of Jack Flaherty? There wasn't the all-in move to go make. The Yoenis Cespedes of 2015 was not out there. This is the year. There's no better opportunity. They haven't had a better chance. The American League has not been more wide open. Other teams have struggled like this. The Yankees one was more elongated. But be grateful that this isn't happening in September and August like it's happened in years past. That tends to be where their swoon happens. Instead, it happened in June and July. Gave you time to recover. They weren't playing horribly when their schedule was running through the worst teams in Major League Baseball. Now it does. Now they're getting on a groove while their schedule runs through the worst teams in Major League Baseball. It's time to get fat. It's time to win games. It's time to build a little bit of a lead over the Orioles. You pretty much know you're going to the postseason. The Yankees, I think, when it came to sports statistics online, there's like 98% chance of going to the postseason. They actually have the highest percentage chance of any team in Major League Baseball. Win games, get fat, surpass, and grow a lead on Baltimore. So all you have to do is play 500 ball in September. On the other side, we'll go over the Yankees and Angels series. We'll go over the doubleheader ramifications of the pitching matchups that are going to be in the Bronx tomorrow. When you're taking in America's pastime, don't forget to hydrate with Liquid IV's Popsicle Firecracker flavor, a surefire summer hit. Get hydrated with electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients from the #1 powdered hydration brand in America. Because baseball and summer go together like Liquid IV and indulgent hydration. Blast off with the iconic summer flavor of Popsicle Firecracker, a festive blend of citrus-fueled lemon lime, tart cherry, and raspberry flavors. Find all of your favorite flavors on their website, from acai berry and lemon lime to pina colada. Tear, pour, live more. One stick plus 16 ounces of water hydrates better than any water alone. It also has 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink and 8 essential vitamins and nutrients. No more thirsty summers when you indulge in hydration with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code MLB at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code MLB at liquidiv.com. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows that are covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now, available in the free Fire TV channels app. And remember that you can catch every pitch of the Yankees hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Yankees. So as we mentioned, tomorrow will be a traditional doubleheader for the Yankees and Angels, a 4 o'clock start and a 7 o'clock start. Let me get the exact times for you because I know you guys enjoy that so much. 4:05 is the first game of the doubleheader, and the second game will be 7:05. The second game will be on Prime Video. The first game will be a yes game. Both these games on Wednesday. Both games Yankees should handle, but does give you some cause because most of these doubleheaders wind up being splits, it feels like, right? Game 1 of Tuesday, they haven't announced any changes in starters. I doubt there would be. Game 1 looks like it's going to be Davis Daniel. He's 1-2 with a 4.91 ERA. Going up against Luis Gil, 11-5 with a 3.20. You look for Luis Gil to build off things, right? I mean, I think that there's a potential for later on in the year for him to wind up being a big bullpen piece for them. And I hope he is. But they're going to have to get creative with him, and we'll see if they're willing to move in a different direction, use other guys as starters, and other guys have to prove themselves for them to give themselves the confidence to put Luis Gil in the bullpen. And also Wednesday, you're going to get Carson Fulmer. Wednesday night, you're going to get Carson Fulmer, who's an opener. They haven't announced a different starter, and I wonder if they have, if they will, only because do you want an opener going in the second game when you might use your bullpen? The Yankees have a really good opportunity here. If the bullpen winds up being used a lot throughout the entire first game of the doubleheader, the Yankees are going to have a serious advantage with the Angels using an opener in that first game. And actually, the Yankees have announced a different starter for the night game. The first game is still going to be Luis Gil. The night game is now going to be Will Warren, who I guess will be making his second career start. 6.75 ERA, 0-0. Not really much to concern there. Again, that Phillies game, he actually played really well. And after the first 2 innings, he pitched really well, got into the 5th inning. I really liked what I saw out of him. And then Carson Fulmer, again, you have a real opportunity Wednesday. If the Angels need to use a lot of their bullpen in Wednesday's game and in the early game, the 4 o'clock game, and these games, there's no time for rest. This is a back-to-back scenario. So if they have to use a lot of their bullpen in the first game and you get to them really early, which the Yankees have had a good tendency to do lately, you get to them nice and early, make them dip into their bullpen. That second game, all of a sudden becomes a lot easier for you. Now you'll be able to use your bullpen more, and the Angels will have a tired bullpen pitching for their second time in one day. It's a real opportunity there to be able to take advantage of them and possibly get a sweep in that doubleheader, because then you win the series automatically. And you want that too. You don't want to have a series that you're going to wind up, losing to the Angels. In 4-game series, you don't want to split. You want to win series on the way out. Like we've said before, teams that win series are teams that have winning records, are teams that do really well. You want to be able to get fat in the month of August, build up how many games you're up in the standings, and then come September, play 500 ball, win series. You'll be in the postseason anyway. Get yourselves right. I don't know if they moved Nestor to the Thursday game. Let's see if they actually announced that. Yeah, so I'm seeing Nestor move to the Thursday game. I guess they're just buying everybody an extra day of rest. Nothing wrong with that. And Tyler Anderson will go for the Angels still in that second game. So you're going to have a dual admission doubleheader. Really cool. Something I actually never done as a baseball fan. Always have really wanted to, never have been able to. I think Stacey will be on the show tomorrow night. So we'll have her there with us tomorrow to join us for the show. One more time, don't forget that you can catch every pitch of the Yankees hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and you can search the word Yankees. I want to mention that on the way out, you can you can subscribe, everything you need to do on the way out. I want to thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen today and every day. Now you should go check out the Locked On MLB podcast. Prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully, who has it all covered every single day. You can find the link to Locked On MLB in the description below, so you don't need to search anywhere. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And that'll do it for this edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm your host, Brian McKeon. We'll both see you tomorrow at the doubleheader.